morning. How are you doing?
Morning. How is everybody? I'm getting there.
Oh my God.
You know, I have to say, I understand so much more now why John can't think of words and like.
Thank you.
You know, like he's trying to say something. Like, so often, John, you're like on a roll and trying to say something hilarious, and then you can't find like the word that you're trying to think of. And now it all makes sense as to why, because you told me you've had like a bunch of concussions in your life. And I'm not sure I'm going to come back from it. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I was in my comedy class yesterday, and I had written bullet points for the points that I wanted to hit. And I'm staring at the phone, and I can't think of the right word. Like, I'm looking at the word, and I can't think of the right word. It is bad. Like, it's not bad like I'm getting dumber, but it's bad as in, like, I've never experienced this before, and I keep thinking, like, what am I going to do? This is the only asset I have left. My looks have gone long ago. If I can't use my brain, someone else is just going to have to start changing my diaper.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's the most aggravating thing for me. It really has made me think long and hard about giving up podcasting, where I don't come on the mic anymore because I can't think of the right words.
Because
and
you
then
can't think
what
of the
happens
right
if I have to multitask, like on my show, the Brand X podcast, I'm the guy that's running the board. I'm the guy that's, looking at the stories. I'm doing all this stuff. And then I'm supposed to talk too, and be funny and come up with jokes. And there's times where I can't even think of a word. I mean, I think of it, but I can't get it out my mouth. You know it's there, but it won't come out.
Podcasting is what's going to help you stop losing your mind and losing words. You have to keep maybe not for Jessica with a current concussion, but the best way to keep words is to keep reading and using them. And using them for you, it means using them against other people on your other podcasts and on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what? You do have a point about reading. I know reading can help you exercise your brain. Here's how it feels. And I mean, you can tell me if this is how it felt for you, John. Simultaneously, it feels like someone is squeezing my head this way. And at the same time, it makes my stomach a little queasy.
Well, that's the concussion protocol. Yes, that's how concussions work. But what happens post-concussion, after your brain heals somewhat, that what happens is you see a person's face. You know their name, and it will not come out of your mouth. It's stuck there. It's like if you took and ate a walnut or something, and it's like stuck halfway down your throat, and you can't swallow it, and you can't get it back up, and it's just stuck there, and it is annoying. I mean, it's not going to kill you. It's just annoying. So a lot of times when people have this protocol, they rely on crutch words to get them started. It's almost like kickstarting something. And I find out that I'm doing that. When I did stand-up, I went back and listened to it, and I had a lot of crutch words, phrases that kind of just like almost kicked the motor started so I could get to my next joke or next section of what I was going to say.
What were they? Like, are they things like, that
or listen?
Or are you kidding me?
That's it. Thank you.
Are you kidding me?
Thank you. That's exactly what it was. So I played the 3 minutes and 14 seconds of stand-up on my Brand X podcast.
That, Melissa. That's very observant.
I'm very observant. I can't find words for shit, and I haven't had a concussion, but I'm very observant. A lot of Sherlock Holmes watching. I'm a very, very old lady, and that's why. But I do lose words. I do kind of blame it on the fact that I've hermited myself into this house, and I don't engage in conversations anymore with people if I don't have to. The earbuds, well, I do talk at them, but I don't have to listen to them. I just read their body language. See, Jess said it's observations. Jess told me right off the bat, I'm very observant.
All right. So, dear listener, we were just having some technical difficulties, and we were yelling at each other and spitting into our microphones. But now we're back.
And we're back.
And, it's the thing is that, I'm so worried about Jessica because, like, she bruised her coconut, and I don't want her thinking too much. All right.
And fixing a router takes a lot of thought.
It's really hard because I'm trying to write jokes and I'm trying to do a course about podcast sponsorship, and I can't do either one if I can't think for more than 2 hours in a row.
Because
that's the problem.
I said this before, but you won't listen to me. No one listens to me. Like, I've been through all this. So
I will
what I'm
listen
saying
to
is
you.
that if
How dare you,
don't
sir?
take care of this now, you will sound like me. Now, if that isn't enough reason for you to stop doing what you're doing and take care of yourself.
Listen, it frightens me beyond belief. I assure you it frightens me. I can only see you. Can't see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that frightens me beyond belief. Believe me, I don't want to sound like you because you sound like you're losing your mind every 5 minutes because you can't think of words. And I was already getting like that a little bit. So I hear what you're saying. Are you saying that you're this way because you didn't rest? Because I think even if I rest,
I had my concussions.
It's not going to do anything.
All right, they didn't know anything like this. They didn't know anything about concussions like this. It was no big deal. Like the day that I had my a 2-inch iron pipe fell on my head and made me look like Frankenstein because my head was flat because I had such a lump. They told me to go home and rest, and I went to work the next day and never missed a day of work. Okay,
dude, I have to say that the thought of your head flattening out like Frankenstein was hilarious, even though it probably hurt like shit.
So then I was 22 at the time. They send me to the hospital. I have to get a CT of my head. All right, now this was
there's nothing in there.
They make me take off my clothes and they give me a gown that looks like a necktie. All right, so now I'm supposed to put this thing on. The nurse, the lady, the technician walks in.
Why is this not funny to you, Melissa?
The girl that walks in to give me my CT is the hottest girl I've ever seen. All right. And there I am sitting there in my underpants with a hospital necktie on. And I have to sit there and now I'm loopy and stupid. And I'm trying to say to her, I'm so sorry. This is horrible. You don't need to see this. And she's like, sir, relax. And I'm like, oh, don't we have anything? Can I wrap a sheet around me? I'm like talking to her and I make no sense. And then she brings they were going to admit me because I was so loopy, but then they said, no, he's fine. And they sent me home. And the next day I went to work. So they had no idea about this whole concussion protocol until the NFL started having guys like kill themselves and kill their wives and do crazy, crazy things.
So they became murderers because they had concussions?
Sure. Mm-hmm. They have this thing. It's called CTE. I forget what that stands for. And most NFL players have it. Frank Gifford had it when he died. He let them autopsy his brain. They can't tell whether you have it until they open you up after you're dead. There was a guy, the guy who he was from the Kansas City Chiefs. He committed suicide in the parking lot of the stadium in front of his coach and a trainer. And they did the same thing. He had it. So, and I think, to be honest with you, I think OJ had it. And I think that's why OJ killed his wife and Ron Goldman, to be quite honest with you.
See, you just pulled that name out. You still have brain power.
It comes and goes.
I get that too.
It comes and goes.
I was watching G.I. Jane yesterday.
Never seen it.
Oh, you should. I was watching G.I. Jane,
really?
And that whole cast, I know all of their names, right? But not when I first watch it. So I'm like 20 minutes in, and I said, Jim Cassavetes, Cassavetes. But that was one, and I'm like, okay, headmaster, head chief, whatever. I know you. Viggo Mortensen. It was like I was a full hour in before I knew exactly who he was. But it comes to you. And for you, if you rest your brain, I think it can heal. But if you're just going to constantly use what's already damaged, you're going to have more trouble. So when they say rest, I know it's almost impossible, but you really need to.
So yeah, I'm doing intervals. So for example, like yesterday was kind of a big date because I had to drive to Philly, use my brain for 2 hours, and then we ate at a deli, and then I drove home. And then because 95 is closed off coming south, I had to go a different way, and it hurt. By the time I got home, I was in need of rest. And so I tried not to use my phone. I didn't open my computer, and I made Scott only watch stupid shit. Like even Shark Tank was bothering me. So like I fell asleep because, like when I watch Shark Tank, because I'm a business person, I sit there and go, is this a good business deal? I'm not sure.
Should I invest in this? Am I giving them $2 million?
Right. Are they missing the boat?
I don't know.
Is this guy out of his mind? I'm not sure. So yeah. So
is the market already saturated with this? Should I ask him to back off? Oh, wait.
Is it really a $4 billion industry? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
wait, you're not
So,
talking to me. Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead. Carry on, everyone. Carry on.
It's just like watching. Oh, that's actually a bit I could use. It's just like watching football for dudes, like watching Shark Tank. You're yelling at the screen, invest. Anyway, touchdown. Anyway, that's actually really funny.
That might work. If you have once your
that might
brain
work.
heals, you should try to write that.
Especially if you throw your arms
all I
in.
do is write down the ideas. So anyway, so today I'm doing this, and then I had plans with Karen Friday actually, but I canceled them because I know she wants to ask me about creating courses online. So instead, I created a window where I could do nothing, and then I'm going to try and write some articles at the end of the afternoon, and then go get Isaac and rest again. So like I'm trying to do intervals of thinking so that I have time to rest in between. It's extremely frustrating because I don't have the only way I have income is if I create this stuff. So I'm going broke. The longer I'm stupid, the more I'm broke because I can't consult because I can't think.
Okay, so can I tell you a story? So I listened to a podcast, and it's two couples, and the one girl, she was going to work, and a guy was coming the other way in a big truck, and something happened on his phone, and he looked down on his phone, and he drifted into her lane and hit her head on. And the airbag and everything saved her, but she had a concussion. What they did with her was she could listen to things. She wasn't even allowed to watch TV. She could listen to TV.
That hurt.
All right. So there were so many things that she had to do. She wasn't allowed to do crossword puzzles. She had to not think. She had to let her brain heal. And it was 2 months before she was able to podcast again. Okay. She wasn't even allowed to go and be on the mic. And I got to tell you, I listened to her before she had the accident. She had the accident. We listened to her for 2 months. And when she came back, there was a noticeable difference in her speech pattern, in her thought pattern, and how quick she was to respond to people. There was a noticeable difference, and that blew my mind.
Is there a noticeable difference with me? Speech pattern?
No, but then there's times where I can tell that you are not, it's like you're not here. I don't know how to explain that.
She was like that before she hit her head.
I was going to say that might have been. No, but he's right. And it's not that I'm not here. So this is a perfect example, of like what will happen. Like I went to the deli, I got all this beautiful food from famous 4th Street Deli in Philly. And then I brought it all home. We had dinner. We came upstairs. Scott put Isaac to bed. He came back in the room and I'm like, I bought the giant chocolate chip cookies and I got him some Hamantaschen because they're his favorite. These cookies though, dude, they're like this big. And they're like a pound each. So anyway, I was like, do you want me to go get you some cookies? And he was like, did you get Hamantaschen? I said, yeah, I got you 2 apricot Hamantaschen. Would you like one? Yes, I would like one. That's his favorite too. Go downstairs, get the other half of my sandwich, pour myself a drink, grab 4 cookies, put them in a bag, come back upstairs. And he looks at me and he's like,
the Hamantaschen.
Where's the Hamantaschen? And I was like, what Hamantaschen? Forgot completely he had asked me for it. And I mean, I was bad before. What I used to do before with ADHD, you come back upstairs, look at his face and go, oh, fuck the Hamantaschen. But I had no recollection he even said it at all.
And then people get mad at you because they think that you.
I also find that I
was going to say, first of all, they think that you do not pay attention to them, and you do. It just leaves.
It just leaves.
This sounds like the excuses podcast of why I suck.
I already had these problems. I knew ADHD was doing this.
I forget that all the time. Yeah. Your water. Sorry.
But not remembering is bad. And then the other thing I find that's helpful, John, when you just have to lay there and just listen and not think. You know what I do? I watch movies that I've watched a million times. Because if I watch something new, I have to process it. But I know there's movies out there that I enjoy that I already know what's coming. So there's not much, like, for example, Step Brothers, which is probably a movie you would like if you could get over your hatred of Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I won't watch it.
I've watched it 1,000 times. I could do the whole movie for you right now. So watching that, it's actually good because
it's like a meditation for you at this point.
Almost, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Role Models is another one. Have you ever seen Role Models with Paul Rudd and Sean? See, here we go. The guy who was Stifler.
Yeah.
I know who
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about. I don't know what his name is.
Sean Scott
There we
Thomas,
go.
Sean Thomas Scott, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yes, him.
That guy.
Have
Him,
some
that
names,
guy.
buddy. Have some names.
I mean, anytime there's three names, I can never do Philip Seymour Hoffman and Philip Michael Thomas. Like, that's just not fair.
Wow, they're so different.
That was
but yes, you're
pre-concussion,
right.
though.
You're right.
Philip Michael Thomas was Miami Vice, though, right?
Yes, he was. And Philip Seymour Hoffman was all great movies. He was so great.
And then isn't there a Michael? Who's the guy that was in Talladega Nights? The guy who was like, it's not Ving Rhames. It might be Ving. No, the guy that died that looks like Ving Rhames. His name is Michael something.
Clark Duncan.
I always want to call him Michael. Yes, Michael Clark Duncan. I always want to call him Michael Ian Black, knowing full well that's the guy from the state.
Right. Well, Michael Clark Duncan, he was the one from Green Mile.
Yes.
And I met, I hung out with a friend of mine this last week. We went to a funeral together and she described herself as an empath, right? So as an empath, people who just feel other people's emotions, get the strong feels, whether it's wildly
That's what Scott
positive.
is.
Yeah, wildly positive or wildly negative. And that's what makes me think of Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile. Because remember, he used to be able to like take your cancer away and then he would cough it out and like he just strew it from you. But I also...
Never seen The Green Mile.
Oh, you should.
I haven't seen it in so long. I totally forget it. You know, Scott is an empath like that.
Yeah, well, that's pretty intense to live with somebody. To be somebody like that is super intense, and you need to rest, and you need not to surround yourself with extremely intense people. But to live with someone like that's got to be hard too.
It is not easy because you
For
have
Scott?
to worry about, because you have to worry about not just how you're feeling, but whether or not what you're feeling like. So like when he and I would have an argument, we would be upset about the argument. And then in addition, he would be upset that I was upset about the argument.
Right. Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
Why don't you just pile it the fuck on? Just pile it on. What do you want from me? It's crazy. It's crazy. Or like he has to like his mother and sister can be a little, they are similarly easily stressed out.
Empathetic.
Not easily, but they have things that make them in their lives that make them stress out or that make them worry. And then if they come around Scott, he internalizes all of it and then he can't sleep. And then he's like, I'm up all night. I'm worried about it. And this is why we're talking about his mother-in-law moving in here because she just closed her store and her sister has told her she can't help support her anymore. And so she says she wants to separate from her husband. But last time she said this, she just ended up moving into Emily's bedroom and not telling him why. And then just going home on the weekends, which is not going to fly. So I was like, the second you tell your husband you want to separate, you can move in here. Until then, I'm not changing anything in my house because I just have a feeling this is bullshit. And this is not a vacation home because I just made an office out of this room. And if I have to move it, I'm going to be mad that you're not actually divorced.
How likely is this? Like, what are the possibilities? Give me a percentage.
Right now, I would say the likeliness is like 40%. But I mean, she would say, well, she's finally ready to do it because her therapist has told her she should do it. Meanwhile, everyone else has been telling her this for 20 years. But whatever.
I've never had a therapist tell me to do something. I've always wanted a therapist to tell me to do something, but they're always like, well, how do you feel about that? And what do you think you should do? I want a therapist.
Think if your husband was emotionally abusive and whatever else, he would tell you to do it. Yeah. So anyway, we've been thinking about where to put her. And actually, I should make a list of all the options because, like, she could go back in this room and I could move my office into Nate's room. We could finish the basement. We could let her be in the office by the garage, but there's no shower down there. And then Scott was saying something about moving the laundry upstairs so she could be downstairs. And it's just like, well, then she's just going to have to come to do the laundry upstairs. Like, it's a whole to-do. The likelihood, I don't know. But, I mean, we still have to work it out in our heads in case it does become somewhat emergent. Not that he's gonna hurt her or anything, but just if they get in an argument.
What about
whatever,
a granny pod you could drop in the backyard?
A tiny house.
I don't know that we're allowed to do that. And plus, you haven't seen my backyard, but you have, Melissa. It's not large.
Yeah, but what
Like,
you
I
do is
need-
you drop it back there and you connect it to the house. So in other words, you really wouldn't have a backyard anymore, but it would be like
Yeah.
putting an addition on, and it would be like a granny pod that you could lock. No, I'm kidding.
The house next
Put a little
door
granny
has a
door in
mother-in-law suite,
Ooh.
and I think it's a good idea. I do like the idea of a mother-in-law suite. I don't know. I mean, I forgot why even we started talking about this. The mother-in-law. Oh, because
she's going to move in.
he has to shield her. He has to shield himself from these problems because he starts to worry about it. But then moving her in here, he's like, that would solve a lot of the problems. So maybe we should do it, because I think what he's saying is if he did it, he could stop worrying. And she would stop worrying. Like, I think the stress of worrying is so much for him that he'd rather her live here.
I don't know. I think she's going to bring it closer. I don't know that it's going to get better. It's going to create all new issues.
Right. It won't be those issues. It'll be different issues that are going to be worse.
It's just a different set of I can't sleep at nights. What about Laura? Would she take her in?
She doesn't have the space, or she would. Yeah, she totally would.
My brother has his in-laws live in Italy, and he's super lucky that it worked out that way. They're Italian. My sister-in-law is Italian, and they come to visit. I don't think they're not married, so they come to visit separately, and they don't have the space. They don't have any space for a bed. And I was saying, these days, I don't travel or go anywhere unless there's a bed for me. I'm not sleeping on the floor somewhere. I'm not camping out, and I get mocked for that. Besides that, you're going to Camp Maine where Tom and Annie have a place that they go. I need flushing toilets also. But so
Diva.
I am a diva. So my brother's mother-in-law comes to visit them, and she sleeps on the floor in the family room. So she'll come for the holidays, and she's sleeping on the floor. And my brother has two, I call them junkyard dogs. He has this great big pit bull and a black German shepherd. And they're both awesome, but they're great guard dogs, and that's why I call them junkyard dogs. So she's sleeping on the floor of the family room, and I thought of this because Shirley, one of my dogs this weekend, ate chocolate chip banana bread muffins. And the chocolate, chocolate kills dogs. Be very careful. So we kind of freaked out a little. And then I remembered that when my brother's mother-in-law was sleeping on the floor, one of the dogs ate a poinsettia. Do you know that is also poisonous, totally toxic to everyone? I mean, if you ate it, it would take you down too. So my sister-in-law comes downstairs. Her mom is sleeping on the floor, and she sees the dog. I mean, the dirt, the roots, everything. This dog is eating this plant head on, full on, and she kind of freaks out. She runs into the kitchen, opens the drawer, pulls out a spoon, goes back into the family room. I mean, Mom, still on the floor, sound asleep right there, right next to the plants. She opens up the mouth of this big dog, and she takes a spoon and she goes to shove it in his throat to get him to vomit up everything he ate, which, worked for us. You just shove something down there, it comes right back up.
True.
Here's what I learned after my dogs ate grapes. Dogs do not have a gag reflex. There is nothing you can do to make them vomit manually. You need to give them like hydrogen peroxide and water mixture,
grapes
and they will.
Grapes don't
they're
hurt
toxic
them,
to.
do they?
They are toxic. Yeah, they're toxic to dogs.
No way.
Yeah, and it's the same way people tell me. I gave my dog chocolate. I give my dog grapes.
Hold on. Yeah. When I was growing up, we had a dog named Stretch who was part Saint Bernard, part German Shepherd, part Collie, and we would give him grapes just to laugh at him because he would go.
Jessica is making a funny face.
Out. Like he couldn't get a hand. He couldn't get a handle on it. No, he couldn't get a handle on it to take a bite. So he'd put it in his mouth, roll it around, struggle, puh, then pick it back up, roll it around, puh. And we just would die laughing at him. I don't know that he ever ate one. I mean, we never cut one up so that he could eat it.
Yeah, they're toxic.
I didn't know they were
grapes.
toxic for him. We fed them to him all the time.
It's amazing what we didn't know.
Knew?
Yeah. So she takes the spoon and she's like elbow deep. She's way in his intestines. She's trying to get all this stuff out and nothing's happening. Like nothing, because again, no gag reflex. I discovered it when my dogs had the grapes and my neighbor was elbow deep and I called poison control and they said, there's no gag reflex. And I didn't have the heart to tell my neighbor who's already like,
you couldn't tell your neighbor, get your hand out of my dog's mouth?
Buy her dinner first. That is very aggressive. You should not be doing that. So Mom is sleeping on the floor. My sister-in-law is elbow deep. She finally takes her hand out and and drops the spoon. And she's all of a sudden the dog is, it must have really had a bad reaction. So he throws up all over the place, looks over at her mom, still sound asleep on the floor.
Anybody check her to see if she was breathing?
No, I don't think so. Well, she had this trauma going on. No, she did not check her mother to see if she was still alive. So there she is, putting some dirt back in a pot, cleaning up vomit, all like, I mean, racing around, sweating, drama. And she is exhausted. She grabs the dog by the collar when it's clean enough. You know, like there was clearly a drama here, but I'm too tired. Grabs the dog into her room, right? We're going to bed now. Puts the spoon on the counter in the kitchen.
And the mother wakes up.
And goes to bed. So in the morning, she wakes up, my brother wakes up, everybody wakes up, and they all come out to the kitchen where Grandma, who's been sleeping on the floor by the Christmas tree and the poinsettia and all the presents and the twinkle lights and how beautiful, she's having a cup of coffee and she is stirring her coffee with a spoon. And my sister-in-law says, Mom,
no,
where'd you get that spoon?
I wouldn't have said a word.
And
oh God,
I mean,
no.
I was right here. I'm just using it for my coffee. Do you need it? And yeah, so that's the trauma drama spoon. And now in our house, I pill our dogs from a can of dog food, and I kind of leave the spoon on the counter because I'm going to use it again. If I pill you at night, I have to pill you in the morning too. And Stuart has been known to use a spoon for his coffee. And it is my moral right here, the lesson to be learned. Is it so far to go to the drawer to pull out a brand new spoon? You are ridiculous. Never use a spoon found on the counter. You never know where it has been.
Well, I know if you find it in my house, it won't be in a dog's mouth.
Yeah, it was way worse than his mouth. I think it went all the way in. And yeah, she's like, I might have pulled it from the drawer, and there was no spoon on the counter. So yeah, it was probably the grossest thing that's, I think, has ever happened that you've put in your mouth. It's horrible.
I wouldn't have said anything. I would have said, yeah, give me that coffee. I would have thrown it right into the sink and let me get you a fresh cup.
Is that what you do? Because my game would have been to turn around. I remember my dog ate a whole plate of egg salad. I cut off from where he ate and I served the rest. Like what you don't know.
I've never eaten at Melissa's house.
That dog's dead now. It's okay.
That's gross. The spoon thing, I'm freaked out.
Well, would you take a spoon off the counter and just use it?
No, never. That's a very good point. I would never do that, especially in a house with any dogs or toddlers. That spoon probably was just pulled out of my son's ass. No, I would not. No, I would not do that.
Right to the drawer. Get a new one always.
Put it right in the sink. Any rogue spoon cannot be trusted.
Not anymore.
Rogue spoons cannot be trusted. Really, in most people's houses, if you think about it. That could have been a raw egg.
Why are you even asking?
Yeah,
for what was this spoon used prior to? Why are you asking? Go get a new spoon.
It's frightening is what it is.
Or wash it. Or start with soap and water and wash it if you want not to. Yeah, it's gross. My whole family is like, where's the spoon been? Yeah.
So we were having a football party. This is when I was living with my wife. And my stepdaughter bought her boyfriend a dog. And the parents of said boyfriend said, he can't have a dog. So he gives the dog back to her. So now we're having a football party. I take and I put in a crock pot probably 10 boneless, skinless chicken breasts because I'm going to make pulled chicken, barbecued pulled chicken.
Before the Instapot arrived at your house.
This is way before the Instapot. So they cooked, I forget how long, 4-6 hours, they get out. I take 2 forks and I shred them in a big giant tinfoil pan. And I'm saying this is like a tinfoil pan for like lasagna. I mean, it's big. I'm getting ready to get the barbecue sauce. With that, the dog leaps up on the table, sticks its face right in the center and takes like 4 big gulps. And it's like trying to eat all the chicken before I get to it.
Good dog.
I grabbed that dog by the back of the neck and yanked it off the table. And I immediately look at my daughter and I go, now what are we going to do? Because I can't serve this. I can't serve this. So I take the chicken because right now I've lost my shit and I'm concussed. And I take the chicken and I dump it on the dog and I rub the dog back and forth to the chicken. You want chicken? Here's some chicken. Have some chicken. I picked the dog up.
You rubbed? You covered the dog in chicken?
She's screaming. My wife's screaming. And I'm rubbing the dog in the chicken I'm like, get the chicken. You want the chicken?
I'm about to punch you in the face.
I know. So, listen,
Why? I put treat the dog like that. A dog wanted chicken. You can't punish a dog for wanting chicken. I want chicken.
I understand that. But now I got people coming over. I've got chicken all over the floor. I've got a dog covered in chicken. And I have no chicken.
You've never rubbed a dog's nose in something they did that was bad?
No.
You're not allowed to do that anymore. I have
done this many times. Also, I've done it to a cat. That does not work.
Right. I can understand that.
I'm trying to picture you catching a little tiny cat head.
You grab the cat by the back of the neck and you put her face in whatever it was she either vomited, pooped, peed, or ripped something to shreds. And I would go, no, bad kitty. And she would just be like this. And then she would just run away.
Right. And shit on your pillow.
And then 5 minutes later, she would come back to be petted like it never happened.
That's because cats are assholes.
Give no fucks. Cats just give zero fucks. Dogs, on the other hand, actually, I had a dog. Barney was very sensitive. I didn't have to yell at him. He was like, I could just look at him like this, and he would be guilty. But like, he also never ate an entire chicken off the.
Okay, so you have a floor full of chicken.
So now I got a floor full of chicken, a dog full of chicken, I throw the dog outside. Now I got to clean the floor up. Everybody's mad at me. I have no chicken.
Because you rub the dog with chicken? Yes. I would think you would enjoy it.
I would be mad at you.
You know what? I lost my mind. I'm not proud of what happened, but I'm not apologizing for it either. So
my uncle used to kick his dogs all the time, and it would make my sister and I so upset. I didn't
kick the dog. I just rubbed the dog around a chicken.
Yell at them and kick them. It made me so upset.
I didn't kick the dog. I didn't even smack the dog. I just grabbed it and rubbed it around on the chicken.
I mean, it sounds like a massage.
It was. It was a chicken massage. It wasn't as bad as everybody thought of. Everybody was horrified.
Why are you making that face,
because
Melissa?
She's an animal
if I rubbed my dogs with chicken, they would be overjoyed.
Treat an animal. Do you think they thought he was being pet and enjoyed the chicken, or do you think he saw a fucking crazy man with his hands holding him down on top of chicken? Confused.
That dog knew.
He wasn't holding him down on chicken. He rubbed the chicken on the dog's back.
No, I grabbed the dog and rubbed it in the chicken that was on the floor. So anyhow.
Oh, like this?
Yes. So anyhow, it wasn't good.
He was terrified, that dog.
Right. Yeah, please.
Probably a little nauseous.
So anyhow, now I got to clean the floor up. Now I send my stepdaughter to the supermarket to get I said, go get 6 chickens, one of those rotisserie chickens. So now I'm sitting there at
not 7.
6. So I get 6 of them. I pull them all apart. So now we're doing all this stuff. Someone lets the dog in. The dog goes for the chicken. Now, it's one of those things where you hear the music from, what's the movie where they run on the beach, the kids?
Chariots Fire.
Now, you hear the Chariot of Fire. Exactly. You hear the Chariot of Fire music as the dog goes for the table again. I hit that dog in midair like a linebacker. We both hit the floor.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What happened to that dog? That dog clearly needed to be rescued. Where is that dog now?
The dog is fine. The dog is still around.
He probably died, an old dog.
The dog is still alive. They still have the dog. The dog is nice, except you can't put food on the table with that dog. That dog has no manners. That's the problem with the dog.
So I had a beagle that would misbehave. First of all, she thought she was a much larger dog. This is when we were growing.
If this is a how we punished our dog story, I don't think I can take it.
No. Okay. No. But she was bad. She was just a bad girl. And she would get into the trash and spread it out all over the floor. And one of the things she did one time, my mother was putting groceries away and turn around and then she had gotten into the loaf of bread. First of all, the dog was only the size of a loaf of bread. but she had eaten the entire loaf of bread, and she was laying on the floor on her side with her stomach enlarged like
All
4
distended.
times the normal size, all distended. And my mother looked at her and she was like, well, that's just obviously punishment enough.
You bitch.
I'm just going to let you rot in that, my friend. You've made a mistake. I can see that.
My dogs have stolen many a loaf of bread, and they felt terrible
Your
afterwards.
dogs are much larger, though. Like,
Yeah,
for
that's
your
true.
dog to steal a loaf of bread, like, I'm telling you, she was only this big in the first place, and the loaf of bread was like this big, and she ate the whole thing.
It's impressive.
We couldn't believe it. This was a dog that did not even, we had an electric fence to keep our dogs in the yard. Now, keep in mind, I know you're going to be mad about that, but we had a very large dog with a very, like, Stretch, that was his name. He was a Collie St. Bernard, what did I say? German Shepherd mix. And so he could barely feel the electric fence, but also he was so old and lazy that he didn't bother to try. He never really ran away. Then we got this puppy beagle who, like, again, just like a cat, gave 0 fucks. She would just be like, fuck it, zorched herself and kept going. Constantly being called, is this your dog? Jess, I saw your dog running down the street. Your dog's on her way to 7-Eleven. You might want to go get her. Like, it was ridiculous.
She's looking for a loaf of bread. Wherever she finds it, she'll go.
I never met a dog that just didn't care about an electric fence, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think they sell those anymore. But for the first dog, it was a perfectly fine thing. Like, he probably felt the Zorch one time and went, fuck that shit, I'll just lay down. He was old.
Dear listener, I know you're wondering what happened when I was in mid-tackle of the dog and Jessica just came in and talked about how her dog just ate a loaf of bread. I forget what the end of the story was, but that's okay.
Did I interrupt you?
I was like, I tackled the dog and all of a sudden I had a beagle who once ate a loaf of bread. And I'm like,
I don't think I heard
so
you
much for
say
that
you
story.
tackled the dog.
Okay, well, that's
You know
possible.
there's
with
a
the internet
delay.
connection. I understand that.
Well, go ahead. You
I
tackled
forget.
the dog
I don't know.
after okay.
I tackled the dog and then everybody lived happily after ever. Lived happily ever after.
They ordered pizza.
We ordered pizza. That's
Pizza
exactly.
and wings.
You know
Pizza and
something?
wings.
I should have ordered
I
pizza.
did not hear you. I thought your
That's okay.
story was over. I didn't hear you. It delayed.
I know. That's okay. But, you know, it's funny because we do that to each other all the time. We're in the middle of a story. We set something up, and then all of a sudden the other person busts in. We do it.
I would never
We do that to
on purpose,
each
though.
other all the time. Melissa does it to us. We do it to Melissa. We do it to each other.
I know, but I try not to. But I think it's easier to do when you record in person because you can see the person's lips stop moving. Whereas this way, I never know.
I don't know. I don't know if
would
that's
think.
true because I have a co-host does the same
Like
thing.
right
to me.
now, I can't tell if Melissa's frozen or staring at her phone.
I'm not staring at my
What are you staring at?
phone.
She's
What-
calling animal control on me.
That's excellent podcasting. I had a dog eat a 2-pound box of Godiva chocolates once, and you know that's instant death. So
It
Did you
didn't.
take it to the hospital and
I-
take $3,000?
I made him throw. It was at my parents' house because she had a wrapped box as a gift for someone of Godiva chocolates, and I said, "Who the fuck leaves a box of chocolates where you know I'm coming with my dog?" You know, so we had to make him throw up, and he threw up even like the papers. He threw up everything, and I thought if we didn't catch him before he got to the box, he would have eaten the box.
This is why dogs are morons.
not.
Just the stupidest animal. They will eat at, I know I'm doing it again, right? I'm
No.
interrupting you. Was that story done?
Yeah.
No, I was going to say I just feel like they're
Scott's
empaths too. They might be
cousin.
stupid, but
They are empathic, but they are
Yeah.
very stupid. Scott's cousin had a tiny dog, like tiny house, but it was a tiny dog.
can't
With
live
the
in it.
2 cats in the yard.
Somehow got on the kitchen counter into a large open bag of dog food and then got lost in there and suffocated and died.
Oh my god!
Couldn't get herself back out
She
because
literally
it was a
ate
heavy bag
herself
of dog
to
food. It was
death.
probably like she started eating and then suffocated in there.
Oh my god, that's the worst. I feel like I'm going to do that when I get a big bowl of pasta.
I thought if that's a way to die, though, dying doing what you love. You know what I'm saying?
Stealing food off the counter. Yeah, I mean in the bag. Wow.
Well, because it was a big bag. It was only half full. And so I guess when she got all the way in there, the bag kind of closed. And you know how they have like a plastic seal sometimes
Oh
where
my God.
not a lot of air can get
That's
in.
horrible.
Yeah, it was sad. They were devastated. Meanwhile, I was like, that's a bad dog.
That's
a
a
bad
dead
dog.
dog. That's kind of what I picture when John says, I
It's a
tackled
bad
the dog.
dead dog.
Oh, I tackled the dog. Oh, no. Like a football?
We're going to pour one out for the
It's
dog.
a bad dead dog.
That's so sad.
Or a
That
dead
makes me
bad
re-
dog.
I don't even
And
know
now
if
I'm
we
in
can
a
use
Dr. Seuss book.
any of this because we're going to get so many responses from animal lovers about how John rubbed the dog all over.
Yeah, and you
Chicken.
should. But don't worry. We only have one listener, so it's
Hold
fine.
on. You never took your dog by like the neck and the feet and did like a rock. Well, you never had tiny dogs.
No, and
But like when I had it, like, but I was only like 12 or 13 when I got this beagle puppy, and we did all kinds of nonsense to her that was probably much worse, but not in punishment. For example, hold her up and tickle her tummy. Tickle, tickle,
Hold
tickle,
her up
tickle.
by
She
what?
didn't like that. Like her underarms, her feet.
please
'Cause
tell
you
me
could do
that's
it
a
with
cat,
one
not
side.
a dog.
No, it was a dog. She thought it was funny, or maybe she didn't. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
I was in middle
I
school.
feel like I need to rescue all of your childhood dogs. I feel like it's my job to come into your house and take your dogs away.
the big dog we used to ride like a camel and hold on to the fur for reins. And he didn't care. He was the magically unbothered of a dog. He just could give, he was so lazy and probably stupid that he just lay there and took it. And actually Barney, the dog I had when Emily and Nathan were little, he allowed a lot of that shit too. He never got mad at them. If he didn't like something, he would just skitter away like a cat. He would just like,
They can't always
that.
get away. I just,
you guys are
I listen.
all
I
right, but he was a
understand.
yellow lab. He was very gentle. He used to. He also when the kids were. I have pictures of this. When Emily and Nathan were in the bathtub, he would lay in front of it and not let me get to it because he was protecting them.
that's adorable.
He didn't mind. He didn't mind them. He let them. I mean, Emily used to stick 2 fingers up his nose like this, right there, and he would just go.
Oh my God!
So,
just snort them back out.
You know-
so John's laughing because it's hilarious, but I have to tell you, they're
hilarious.
still dogs, right? They're
I
not
know. I'm
humans,
only laughing
and,
because I never heard of such a thing. All right, so
and
first
they
of all,
could turn around.
Well,
they could turn around and
Oh
bite
my
your
God.
face off because they are
Yes,
still
they
animals,
could.
and you really.
But you have to get a dog that you trust. Yes, that's true. Emily also, her favorite thing was to take her little doll stroller and wait till Barney was sleeping and then roll it into his feet and scare the bejesus out of him. And then she would
horrible.
laugh and laugh and laugh.
I like the
She
way
was
how I
mean.
said I don't think we're going to be able to use this because how the listeners are going to yell at us for being the
it
way we
just
treat
got
them.
worse.
They're not
And you
going to
double
yell.
down
And
on
here's
it.
why. First of
I'm
all,
horrified.
I'm not. You know what? I'm welcoming it, and here's why: because dogs and little kids live together. Kids and dogs live together. That's normal. The parents aren't always, like I only let Emily stick her fingers up his nose,
Once.
when I saw it, I would stop it, but that didn't stop her from deciding, hey, what's up there? And sticking her fingers up there. Like, kids just do that shit. Like, so for you to be mad that he rubbed the dog and the chicken is like, I've had dogs deal with much worse. We had kids over our house all the time that would ride him around like a camel, and he could care less.
This whole conversation is
huge.
making me super uncomfortable for all these pets who have been abused in houses with kids who.
It happens. Listen, they're not being abused. They enjoy the company, and they're not bothered. Right? You think they're being abused?
I definitely think that's abuse. Are you kidding? Yes. Good Lord.
I mean, I don't think anybody wants tiny little fingers up their nose, but I mean, Isaac did it to me many times, and I haven't bit him.
You didn't like it though, did you?
So when that dog turns around and bites somebody's hand off because they've had just enough, all of a sudden that dog's going to be euthanized because all these douchebags douche nozzles have been all over these dogs and abuse and abuse and abuse. And then when they finally say enough,
Right.
it's their fault for saying it's enough and not.
So Stretch did hurt a little girl one time by accident. We did not euthanize him. She was hugging him from behind, and she started to choke. She was choking him, and all he did was turn his head like this with his mouth open, and he cut her chin because she was hugging him. She had to get like 7 stitches in her face, and he didn't. But we didn't put him to sleep or anything because first of all, I mean, I think he was just trying to say, like, do this to get her off of him. He wasn't trying to bite her. But also, she was choking him to death.
It's not up to the owner anymore. Once you go to the vet and they say, or once you go to the doctor and they say, how did this happen? They have to report a dog bite. It's probably newer from when you had dogs as a kid.
30 years ago.
Right. So now it's a matter of, I have a dog who has one strike on him, and if anything else happens, they euthanize him, because my mother-in-law was watching my kids and dogs thinking, it's so easy to watch kids and dogs. You open the door, the dogs go out. You open the door in the backyard, fenced in 2 acres. They go out, they come back. My mother-in-law opened the front door, which is not fenced in on our compound. We don't have that kind of setup. And open the door to see a woman who, her daughter was playing with my daughter. She came with her dog to the front door, and I have 3 people-friendly but not dog-friendly dogs, and my dog saw somebody at the front door with a dog, and my mother-in-law didn't, I open it a sliver, I put my hip out, I keep the dogs in place. They're not good dogs. And once she opened the door, 3 dogs came pouring out of the house and ripped the shit out of this dog who came over. And because he hurt another dog, he has 1 strike. So one more time.
That's terrible.
One more time and they euthanize him. It's not up to me. You didn't have to report it. You saying you didn't euthanize that dog. Well, I hope not, but it's not his fault.
I didn't have to, because that was the only time in 15 years that he even came close to hurting someone else, and he didn't even do it on purpose. He was just trying to get the kid off his neck.
We say, you know what? First of all, one of our rescues, just don't touch him. Leave him alone. We're letting him live out his happy days here on our property. And the other 2, just pet nicely. Or if I watch, I have to watch other kids with our dogs. I'm like, okay, go play upstairs, go play downstairs. All right, let's leave the dogs and let them rest. I am their only advocate. Otherwise, I know for sure. I've seen the youngest dog we have hunt and bring back parts of animals. I've seen another one covered in blood from a rabbit. Like, I know these dogs, they have instincts. They will defend themselves when they need to.
Against wild rabbits?
And people rubbing them in chicken. Yes, I mean, that's how... You're lucky you didn't lose a digit, John.
Trust me. I was fine.
Oh, I'm sure you were. I
wasn't afraid of that dog. Every once in a while, you got to show dominance. In the pack world, you have to show who's the dominant person. And that dog just got a chicken rubbing. And to be honest with you, I didn't hit the dog or anything.
A chicken rubbing.
He just got a good old-fashioned chicken rubbing. So in the worst thing that, like I said.
What dog wouldn't love a chicken rubbing?
Right.
Probably thought it was at an amusement.
But when I went to, when he came in the second time, he went after the chicken again after I just got done shredding it. So I had to tackle the dog, and then here we are on the floor, and everybody's yelling at me. And then me and the dog are outside, and I got to get the dog back outside again. I said, if anybody lets this dog in the house again while there's food out, there's going to be trouble. Now, I understand the dog, but let me tell you something. That dog if we didn't feed the dog, I could understand it. But the dog used to get 3 meals a day. The kids nothing ever hit the floor. The dog had all kinds of snacks. It's crazy that, the dog, it's just, I don't know. I guess it went cuckoo for chicken. I don't know. What can I tell you?
That's a good looking dog. Jessica's showing us a picture of the kids and this beautiful, beautiful dog.
The ugliest dogs ever.
No,
the German
beautiful.
This is Stretch. He's a Collie Saint Bernard. German Shepherd mix. That's me with no teeth.
He's beautiful.
And that's our camel dog. But look at his face. Talk about empathic. He's looking at the camera right now going, why do these people have to adopt me? All they do is ride me around.
Well, we're at the SPCA twice a week volunteering, Mallory and I, and it's so hard not to just kiss those dogs in the face, because that's we want so badly, but they're not
Melissa,
our dogs.
I love dogs. I don't want you to think that I'm just like, abuse all the dogs. I don't think that.
I don't think you do.
I'm just saying that a lot of times, dogs live with kids, and you have first of all, people have the dogs first, and you have to teach them how to be around the kids, or sometimes you don't. Like with Barney, he never was bothered by any of the abuse Emily would give him. He found it hilarious. I don't know if he found it hilarious, but he would just move out of her way. He knew that it was not his place to hurt her. And here you can see them together right here. she's probably being told not to bother him as we speak. Look, he's smiling.
Yeah, I know you think that. He's panting. It could be panic and not
Right.
smiling. Like, there are a lot of things that could be going on in that picture.
And the funny thing is, like, dear listener, Jess is showing us the from her phone the pictures into the camera, so you can't see the loving dog.
This is a dog that says, "Don't even touch these kids or I'll bite you."
Right.
And he was
that's
always there
beautiful.
when they were taking a bath.
That's the picture of him laying down outside their bathtub. I love that. And I love seeing the pictures of these newborns and the babies. And I follow this one golden doodle on Instagram, and his owners just had a baby, and the way they're bonding is beautiful. But that's just not always the case. And until you know, and until you've had the experience, I just want to advocate for those who can't advocate on their own. And that's the canine world.
Mm-hmm.
Cats, not as much. Cats, I feel like they can be their
Hold
own
on,
advocate.
I have to pull my eyes back from rolling in my head.
Hey, big middle finger for you, because cats I'm not as worried about. They can advocate for themselves. They can run away. Dogs are like, do-de-do, okay, hop on.
But, cats always kind of pick
This is
their own.
Barney checking out newborn Nathan. What the fuck is that in there?
Right. No, not another
I love
one.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
My first dog had an affinity for going through trash and pulling out dirty diapers, tampons, all things menstrual and all things diaper.
Yeah.
And then we would come home and we'd be like, not it. Like, please clean that up. What is appealing about eating a dirty diaper? Like, what is the matter with you, creature?
I have no idea. What's appealing about eating a maxi pad?
Yeah, that's
question.
the worst.
I'm going to
That's-
throw up.
That's something that you might want to mute that, John. That's something that I just
I mean, he obviously wasn't bothered by her millions of abusive things because he was always right next to her like a stalker.
yeah, and they follow them around because they're their size. They feel they could steal food from their
Well, 'cause
mouths.
they think of themselves as equals, I think. Don't they?
It's so true.
What are you
I remember
laughing at?
our dog used to follow whenever the kids had a snack, a cookie or
Yes.
whatever, they would follow those kids around. And if that kid even put his hands down, that dog
John.
got that cookie.
Put the hands down.
yeah.
All you have to do is look away. They'll take it right out of your hands.
Yes, they used to take it out of there, and the kids would come
Do
crying.
you guys remember I told you about Isaac
don't
when we went to
blink.
the zoo? This is a little bit of a change of subject, but like when I took Isaac to the zoo for the first time, a duck, he was holding his hot dog down and a duck came and took it out of his hand. And for a week, anybody who walked by, Ducky bit my hand, took my hot dog. A ducky bit my hand, took my hot dog.
honey.
He was like a year and a half. Ducky bit my hand, took my hot dog. Tattled to everybody who would listen.
Oh, that's adorable.
I was like, we haven't been to the zoo in 4 days, Isaac. Drop it.
Birds are assholes. Birds, I have no sympathy for.
Birds are assholes.
Nope. Birds are assholes.
You
That's
say you have no sympathy for birds, you hypocrite.
yeah. I have nothing for birds. I
Wow.
birds freak me out. Birds are not my type of animal. Birds.
Creepy.
Birds are creepy. Birds. How is there a brain in that tiny, 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 tiny head of yours? There's no way.
Are you talking
And then
about the bird or me?
The birds, they attack people. I mean, all birds. Geese, they're horrible. And you can watch 1,000 videos of birds attacking people, knowing full well there is somebody videotaping that and not helping the person being attacked, usually a child. They're horrible, horrible creatures. You'll never, although Mallory rescued a bird. It died, but still. Yeah. out my back window in our old house, there were a lot of birds in a tree, and there was a nest, and this mom had these new babies, and maybe it was time to fly, push them out of the nest and start flying. And one of them went down, and Stuart saw it happen. So he went back there to help it. And the mother saw this creature approaching her baby on the ground, and she started dive bombing to kill Stuart. She started diving down to try to attack this big creature who was going after her tiny baby. And I hear this sound. I was talking on the phone to someone, and I hear this horrible sound in the backyard, and I open the door, and I see Stuart getting attacked by a bird. And I couldn't stop laughing.
That's the funniest thing I've ever
I
heard.
couldn't stop laughing. And then I started to videotape it.
So you're one of those
That
people.
is
You didn't go help them.
Yes,
funny.
she is. She
But
is.
they videotape kids doing that, and that's wrong. But Stuart,
But
this
that's
is
your
a
husband.
man.
You took vows with this man, in sickness and in health. And now, I guess you didn't say bird attacks, but I mean, you think that that's implied.
Delaware has the closest bird rescue and bird whatever. So Mallory and Stuart packaged up in a shoebox this bird and brought it down to the rescue. And we eventually found out that the bird did die, but he went there and dropped off the bird and he made a donation. And the mom, he called me from the road on the way home, and the mom is still in the backyard screaming about her baby. Like, you could hear her for like a good day and a half just making horrible sounds. And I get it. I really do. And he tried to help this baby, and he brought her to, because he said, I'll come back and get the baby and bring it back to the mom if, and they're like, your little girl is here, so I'll tell you, sure, we'll do our best. But this bird's dead. Like, it fell out. It was a bad scene. But for a day and a half, we still heard her screaming. And Stuart's like, a little help, bitch. What's with you videotaping me getting attacked by a bird?
Yeah.
First of all, because birds are frightening.
They're so frightening. They're so frightening.
Truly are so frightening.
So frightening. Yeah. Oh, bird.
So this episode took an
It's
ugly
funny, though.
turn.
I mean, do you really think we're going to get hate mail?
Oh, I would guarantee it.
I'm going to say no because our dear
People
listener
are
understands.
unsubscribing as we speak.
No.
I'm going to get hate mail for She Podcast because I called Mark Zuckerberg a little Jew from
Aren't you
Harvard.
allowed to? You're Jewish.
Melissa, how do you feel about that?
I am not going to unsubscribe, and I did hear you say that. The Z-Man, you called him a lot
Here's
of
what
things.
I don't remember calling him a lot of things, but I said it in the context of, look what he accomplished, just a little Jew from Harvard. Which I meant as like a sarcastically, because of course Jews from Harvard can accomplish things. It's
So,
ridiculous.
I mean, let me ask you this
Right.
question.
Yeah, I don't
Is
think was
that
bad.
really something? Let's really break this down. Is that statement really something to get upset about enough to reach out to the host and say something?
Apparently,
what's
the
worse,
person who was upset,
calling Zuckerberg a little whatever you called him, or taking a dog and rubbing him a chicken?
Oh, it's definitely the chicken thing. Yeah, I think more people are advocates for animals than Jews. So, than ridiculously smart,
especially
wealthy
Zuckerberg.
Jews, right?
No, the person got upset because the person who was listening, a lot of their family died in the Holocaust. And I guess when I said little Jew, the word Jew triggered her. Because,
Triggered.
you know,
I'm so sick of triggered. God, I'm so sick of
Well,
that word. And triggered.
triggered.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, bothered. It bothered
How
her.
much did she?
Enough to
that
write.
she had her friend write us a hateful email. Hateful.
Really?
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
He was very
And you're going
angry
to apologize for
that
that?
Elsie didn't know better than to edit that out because it was a slur. And I'm like, it's not a slur. A Jew is not a slur. Just like calling someone a Christian is
Right.
not a slur.
Yes.
That makes no sense. However, if you say it in if you say it in an insulting way, it is like you can't, like, no one has ever used the word Christian like Jew.
Well, first of all, I
guess.
edited the show,
So I guess in some ways that
and I
makes
would have
sense.
never edited that out.
I know.
So here's the thing.
Well, I didn't want you to. I didn't know what the
Here's
It's
the
not
thing.
Go ahead,
offensive.
Melissa.
It's not offensive. Using a noun that describe he is a Jew. The way my Nana and her mother, those generations who really have more rights to wave the Holocaust banner, right? As they lost family members, as did we. But the way my Nana used to say, "Oh my God, that son of Sam, that serial killer, ugh, he was Jewish."
What's Son of Sam?
Son of Sam is a
Jewish?
serial killer.
Oh.
And my Nana found out he was Jewish, and she got really upset because it's fine for serial killers to be Christian, to be Muslim, to be anything other than Jewish. She was devastated when she found out. So if she heard you say the Jewish kid from Harvard, she would have beamed with pride that he was Jewish.
It's not
and
what
that
I
he
said. I
created
said little
this
Jew.
So what
different.
was your little? What was your little? Like your?
He's short.
So you meant it as
just
a
meant that he's short.
derogatory. But you meant it
No.
as a derogatory comment. So
I meant little as in little in stature. No, I meant little Jew as in little Jew. I just meant that he's a little person.
So what does intent?
and he's
What does
Jewish.
intent count for in this? If you didn't mean it in an anti-Semitic way, what does your intent
I
count
meant
for
it
in that
no
sentence?
differently than if I would have called Isaac a little Jew. Look at my little boy. He's like just a little Jew with a baseball hat. Like, I didn't mean it by anything. It just was stating fact.
And if somebody got upset with yes, that's the shiksa my brother used to date. Like, what is that?
Is that a crime? What's wrong with being a shiksa? It just means you're not Jewish, doesn't it? Is there any other meaning
Yes.
to that that's derogatory that I don't know about? What does it mean?
Only if you're my
Does it
nana.
mean
Only if you're my
hooker?
nana, and you don't want my brother
I mean,
to marry you.
shiksa, if you're a Jew, listen, if you're a Jewish grandmother and you don't want your grandson to marry a non-Jew and you say shiksa, it's still not an insult. It's still stating fact.
Yeah. So that person getting
She
upset
didn't say whore. She said shiksa.
she was hypersensitive,
Right?
and I'm sorry if you're upset about it.
I'm not
The-
sorry that you're upset. If you got
She-
upset about something I said, that's on you.
No, Jess is sorry that she's upset. John,
I'm not happy that I
Right,
offended
that's all
someone,
I'm
but
saying.
I'm not sure why it was that.
It's not that
I
offensive.
could not.
Please.
I still do not feel like. Well, first of all, I mean, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know I'm Jewish, so there's that. Like, I guess if you don't know I'm Jewish, and I said little Jew, yeah, I could
How
see
do they not
that.
know
but
you're
like,
Jewish?
once you find out, you can just be like, oh, well, then she was probably just kidding. Because why would she?
and her intent is not her intent. Your intent was not negative, and my problem.
Did it sound negative? Do you remember?
I think I might have chuckled because I was, again, from my nana, I was proud that he was a Jew from Harvard. Like, so I guess I did inherit that from my nana. I'm like, yeah, look what this little boy's made of himself. He's now testifying to a bunch of idiots who say, if I use the WhatsApp,
Yeah.
like,
You were proud,
Yeah.
right?
I was proud.
Yes, thank you.
I was proud of him.
I think most Jews would make that connection. Like, oh, great.
Right. I was proud of him. Like I have any right to be proud of him. But John said it's on you.
Right, but
no, you're
he's one of
providing
ours, and
you're
we'll
providing
claim it.
content. You're providing content, and if you do upset somebody, it's not her goal to upset somebody, so it is on her, but it is their issue. Yes, I get it's their issue, but she can still be sorry that they're offended. That is not her intent. That's not
I
how
am
she
sorry
meant it,
they're-
and she's sorry they're offended. But not I'm sorry that I disparaged Jews, because in no way do I feel like you did that,
No,
and I listen.
right. But in a way,
so we
isn't that
have a
kind of
ruling.
bullshit apologies, because like it's kind of like saying
It's not
like,
an
when your
apology.
husband's mad at you. When your spouse is mad at you, it's kind of like saying, "Well, I'm sorry you're mad."
Which you do all the time.
I do that all the time, but that's because I have learned that you cannot control
Other people's feelings.
or be in charge of other people's feelings. And if you have upset them and they're right about something, you can just say, I also have said, I'm sorry, we see it differently. And I am
Yes,
truly sorry,
I'm sorry
for
you're
those
upset.
things. I am truly sorry when the other person's upset. I am truly sorry that we don't agree. I can't say that I'm sorry for the behavior if I didn't do anything to hurt the person on purpose.
Right.
How
Your
can I-
intent was
you
pure.
know?
It was not.
Yeah. So I just feel like, well, I'm sorry if what I did upset you, but I'm not sorry that I did something, because I wouldn't have done it. I would do the same exact thing based on the information I had at the time.
Did you reply
Which
to that email?
sounds like a
No, they
I
were cowardly.
did.
They
Of
were
course.
cowardly and sent it to Elsie, not Jess.
well, the person got angry with Elsie for not. The person was angry with Elsie for not
Editing it out.
correcting me.
Well, it's not her job to
And
correct you.
I did write back. I did write back and say, first of all,
You.
she's not responsible
Oops.
for me. Second of all, this is my intent. And third of all, I didn't mean to offend anyone, and I apologize. But fourth of all, you owe her an apology.
Right.
And then he did not agree. And then Elsie very nicely wrote back and said, I unfortunately don't have a very large frame of reference when it comes to this, because she's my only Jewish friend. Obviously, I need to work on that. And I was like, no, you don't.
Oh my God.
Rest of us are a bunch of jerks. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, no, I was like, well, I mean, first of all, how's she supposed to find? I mean, she probably knows other Jews, but when I think about our contacts in podcasting, I am one of the few. I could not think of others that she would be close to or work with closely. I mean, her colleague Rob Walsh, his wife is Jewish, but he's not. and they don't know each other very well. So like I probably, she's a little bit off the grid. So how's she going to come up with some Jews to befriend in order to fix this problem?
Off the grid Shiksa is not supposed to answer that. Yeah.
There is no problem.
She was like, obviously that's a problem, but also, I Jessica is my only frame of reference, and since she's Jewish, I assumed it wasn't offensive because not only because of what she said, but because of what I know of her, which is that she's very respectful and observant of her religion, which I am.
Right.
I don't speak badly about being Jewish. I don't make fun of I don't make fun of Jews. Like, I'm very proud of it. So she, her frame of reference in using me isn't wrong either, because I'm a fine, upstanding Jew.
This guy got his 15 minutes of fame, and he got a chance to interact with you, and he got his panties all bunched up, and then you guys fawned it all over and apologized to him. So, you know what? Enough.
I'm a fine, upstanding Jew.
What a fine, upstanding Jew. Do you know what that's from?
A fine, upstanding Jew.
Do you know what that's from? It is from the Hanukkah song from Adam Sandler. What a fine, upstanding Jew.
I didn't even know.
I don't even remember what lyric it's from, but he's talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. What a fine-looking Jew.
Yeah, I'm a fine, upstanding Jew. So she didn't do anything wrong, and then actually, because I told him he owed her an apology, I think he actually did say, like, because I said to him, like, he was like, I don't know her this because she should have done this or that. And I was like, she is not responsible for me. I am an adult. She can only do so much. She is one person, and she does and approaches everything she possibly can with love and acceptance and diversity. And if you're mean to her, I will scratch your eyes out again. Don't do that.
You know what he needs? He needs a chicken rubbing.
He needed a chicken. I mean, Look, for whatever you want to say, agree and disagree with her, the way she does anything, the purpose is she does not do anything with intent to harm, even if it means being forgetful of something. Every move she makes is to better the world in some way, even if it seems delusional to us.
I wonder why.
Therefore, if you get on her ass, I will cut you.
Okay. Let's take it down one notch.
Though, because I like
she was never acting with malice. I wonder why he chose to write to her over the person who actually said it.
Because people are scared of me.
That's right, and they should be.
Because I'm a badass. Because I'm a
fine-looking Jew.
What a fine-looking Jew.
Let me tell you something. Elsie, there was a rat that went into her storage area and chewed holes in like thousands of dollars worth of yurt material. All right. They didn't kill that rat. They trapped it, said goodbye to it, drove it down the road a piece, and let it go.
It'll find its way back. That wasn't smart.
I understand that. I feel the same way. But in other words, she couldn't even hurt something that was like vermin that was in her place, destroying her property. She couldn't hurt that. So it's ridiculous to think that, God, the whole thing I'll tell you what, it just infuriates me that, okay, let's say for the sake of everything that's holy, that this guy was offended. What happened? Did the guy wake up in the morning and have like mumps? I mean, did he get a rash from being offended? What actually happened to this guy that he was offended? What happened?
He was irritated.
Oh, he was irritated. Was he irritated like you get like when you, I don't know, you don't wipe well and you walk around all day with a little creamy crack? What kind of irritation did he get?
He disagreed and he wanted his voice heard. He disagreed and he wanted his voice heard. No, it wasn't physical. And that's what he did. He let his voice be heard, unlike our listeners who want to stay silent and don't want their voice heard.
I have a feeling this one will bring
it
around.
I have to talk about it on the show.
You know what I'll do then? When you two are talking about that, I will shut my mic off. I will duct tape the mute button down on my microphone.
See if you can. I would like to bet you and Melissa right now that when this conversation comes up, if you even utter one word, you owe us each, a drink at the next open mic?
I'll be buying you a drink.
And yes, you will. Yes. There's no way that you can listen to this conversation and listen to both Elsie and I defend ourselves and not want to stick up for us. That is not in your nature. We have met before.
Listen, I can't even fathom the fact if
We
this
can't
was
handle
me.
if anybody's mean to us.
Well, not only
The
that,
thing is, it's anonymous. Like everybody can speak out and say what they want with the internet, with all these podcasts. You could say what you want because you're not face to face. You're not going to run into us. It's a friend who is upset, and maybe they have their own baggage, and maybe they're dealing with their own stuff.
I told you her baggage. Her whole family was killed in the Holocaust.
Well, Jess, you want to trace your relatives
But it was a
back?
guy.
So were yours. I mean, it's.
well, how does that happen? If her whole family was killed in the Holocaust, she wouldn't be here.
No, my relatives escaped, but both my grandfather served in World War II.
Listen, it was a horrible time. Okay, I understand that, but just saying,
I mean, maybe somebody died. I'm just saying most of my ancestors ran for the
making
border.
a joke about somebody who's Jewish that you can't even equate the two. I'm offended that he equated that with the Holocaust. How do you like that? I'm offended about that. Why would you take that and bring it into the other thing? Why would you? How could you even put those two things on the same
Because people
plane?
are traumatized by what their ancestors. I mean, look, if she's a first or second generation,
I
it's
get
also
that.
she's probably offended when Jews have
I thought it
tattoos
was a he.
because they used.
He wrote for
No,
her.
The
She
guy
had someone
who
wrote
us
for her.
had recommended the show to a woman friend, and she was the one that was upset.
And then she wrote him, and then he wrote you.
And then
Yes.
she said, "What kind of show did you ask me to listen
Whispered
to?"
Emily.
And then he blasted us.
Both of you are not allowed to listen
What is it
anymore.
called?
You and her. You're banned.
I am 100% sure they don't listen to this show.
All right, then why are we even talking about it?
But
That's their law.
because it's an interesting thing. Because it's interesting. Do you have tattoo, Melissa?
I do.
Yeah, I mean, there are those people who are sensitive about Holocaust stuff. They are probably offended by Jews that have tattoos because the Germans used to tattoo the Jewish people.
and look, Goyim does not.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a bunch of other stuff that they're probably a little sensitive about that I'm less sensitive about because my ancestors were on this side of the wall.
So there's a legal side to this, and it speaks to intent. Your intent was not to disparage Jews. So knowing that,
course
take your
not. I would
panties,
never do that.
unbunch them, and go on with your day. If your
Exactly.
intent was, if it was, I can't even put together a sentence that has malicious intent towards Jews. I'm sorry. I think other people do it for me, and I don't need to. But if your intent was other than pure and
How
funny
about-
for comedy, then it's a different.
Here, I'll do
No,
one.
don't do one.
How about half the teachers that I interacted with in public school on behalf of my children are morons?
How does that have to do anything?
Was that malicious intent?
Oh.
Because it's malicious
I thought
intent.
you were saying that about Jewish people. No, they could be actual morons.
No.
I don't know.
No, they
Do you
weren't.
see all the teachers writing you to say, "What the fuck, Jess? You can't talk that way about teachers."
Oh, God forbid.
Sometimes I have actually, like when I would complain about Emily and Nate's teachers on Facebook, a lot of teachers would get offended. And actually, Annie is one of these people that gets very offended when I talk about the mental health care in our country and how shitty it was when I was trying to take care of my daughter. Often, if not every time, Annie complains or not complains. I'm sorry. She will often comment in defense of the mental health industry because she's very passionate about it and she's worked in it a long time. It doesn't change the fact that she's probably one of few
Yeah, she's the
people
exception.
that does not and that is not. First of all, I don't think any of these people are intending to harm. I just don't think it's hard enough to work in these places. Like I think they'll hire people that are, you know, that I think they just need more training in mental health and not just addiction.
You
That's
know what they
I'm
were
saying, I
really
guess.
good at in rehab for M? They were really good at not giving her my package, not giving her shit I sent her. They were really good at opening it up and eating
I think she-
tasty cakes. They were really good at.
I got them back. I got them back and I gave the t-shirt to my friend Michelle and I ate the candy and I still have the gum here. I finally opened it after a year after she passed. I couldn't open it for the longest time. And then when I did, don't you remember when I did? Because I opened it and sent you a note. I told you it broke my
and
heart.
the
She never got it. It was
the
so sweet.
silly string and easy cheese and everything I
Yeah,
thought
that
would
I-
make you smile.
That's around here somewhere. The silly
Everything
string.
I thought would make her smile. But yeah, she didn't get that. So
And you got her a really cool notebook, which I think I still have. Follow Your Dreams, right? Something like that. I think that's
Yeah, 'cause
the
she used to
thing
talk
I'm
about
writing into
having
my
dreams.
comedy, actually.
oh, really? Oh, that makes me happy.
Once in a while. No, she
That
didn't.
makes me happy.
Not really. She had no drink.
Well, I told you, she wrote that one post that said, you know, after paying for all this crap, what's the best that I could become? What's the most that I could be? What, a manager at J. Crew? And I wrote her back saying, if this is your first draft of an essay to get into college, I'm going to ask that you rewrite it because this is not a very encouraging essay. And if you need some help, let me know.
But she didn't really see herself being able to do much, fortunately. But that was before she was an addict. She's always said that. I mean, don't you remember? I used to tell you when she was 12, she would joke about growing up to be a stripper. That was her big goal. And I mean, at the time, I thought she was just saying that to drive us nuts.
Yeah, but it pays well.
But now I wonder if that's really what she thought she was worth, even at 11 and 12.
Wow, she said that at 11. I'm trying to picture Mallory now at 11, 12, 13 saying that.
12. Before she
I think
kissed
she was
a
poking
boy,
at you.
Before she had a boyfriend, I think she was too. But it's weird that you would say that. Like when I was 11 or 12, I assumed I would either be an advertising executive or a hard-nosed journalist. Stripper was not on the table.
Yeah.
Mostly because I had no boobs.
Holy cow! If Mallory ever said that, we'd have to get smelling salts for Jessica.
Mallory
Melissa.
would never say that.
I would be on the
She's a
ground
normal
if she said
child.
that. But
She's not a mentally ill child.
It's not past her to say things to poke at me. So I don't know. That could be.
No, but she's not mentally ill. Like she has, of other things she might want to be. I could never find that out. That's all she would say, and I knew it was to poke at me. But I think part of it was because she couldn't think up anything else either. You know. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Aw.
What a segue!
It's just side notes. Side notes. Someday I'll turn it all into a big comedy act.
There you go.
My life.
I can't
My
wait.
life in a pod
My
shell.
life with my mentally ill child.
My nutcast
There is actually
in a
a
pod
lot
shell.
of funny to it. I mean, you have to admit. A nutcast in a pod shell.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a good name for that.
What?
If you think about it, nutcast in a pod shell. It's pretty
Right.
I still love it.
funny.
So Stuart bought me a present.
What did he get you?
Oh no!
He bought
Was
me.
it anything having to do with housework? Because if it was, you may want to tell him to return it to the 1950s.
See, that's a really good question. He bought me a Dyson hairdryer.
Ah.
A hair dryer. Now that's something.
Now, well, it was ridiculously expensive.
They are extremely like $200, right?
No, like double that.
Wait. Like
$400 for a hair dryer?
Which
Does
I
it
said
curl your hair?
no.
$400
Does it look
for a
like I need my hair
hairdryer.
curled?
No, but it's like it basically is like a donut,
It is.
right?
It is.
It's a donut hairdryer. And what's the difference between that and every other hairdryer?
I did watch the infomercial. I did educate myself after just to see why bother.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. 3 attachments. But wait. Exactly.
There's 3 attachments, including a diffuser.
A diffuser and 2 other, and they're magnetized to go on there. It's not
That's
wrestle it on
'Cause, yeah,
and then wrestle it off and then wrestle it on.
Because my diffuser, I have to shove and pray. I have to do the shove and pray. Yeah.
But it was, it did a great job. Is it a $400 great job? I don't think anything's a $400 great job. It did it faster. Is my time worth that? I
Yes.
don't know. No, your time might be. Is my time worth more? I don't know.
I have a yellow hairdryer that cost me $120, and it's the brand Dry Bar.
Okay.
It's quieter and it does dry faster. So therefore I justified the $150. I kind of did want to get, I don't know. I couldn't get the big one because I couldn't justify $200 for the same, and the reviews all said it's the same shit, different day, just a little smaller, which is fine for me because I have no upper body strength anyway. So I was like, cool.
To hold it up.
And it works really well. It's actually extremely fast. It gets extremely hot. So it's perfect. But I did see the Dyson, and it's like rated the #1 hair dryer, and I always have wondered why.
Well, no, I can return it. Is my theory. I got it at Bed Bath and Your Mom, and I can return it if I need to, because they'll take back anything. So that, but it
They
did
will.
not. Your 20% off coupon does not apply on this one item.
Wow.
Which really upset us because we
How
agreed
dare
to
they.
get it there. Because
that
I can
possible?
use 20% off and because the manufacturer doesn't allow you to discount that product. So we bought it. I used it once. Stuart used it once, and his hair was very fluffy today. And I will use it this week. And if it's not a religious experience, I will return it. So I'm testing it. I'm a product tester for Bed Bath and Your Mom. So come to me for product testing.
You know why you need a $400? You know why I spent $120 on a hairdryer and why a person would need a $400 hairdryer? Because when you straighten your hair, it's best for it to be faster. You don't do that.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, I know it came with a diffuser, but I don't think your hair is either thick enough or straight enough for you to be able to justify the 5 minutes it takes you to dry your hair.
Right.
Now, you could start using it to dry off your body when you get out of the shower, and that would make it worthwhile.
I'm a big fan of the big bath sheet towel thing. I'm a big fan of the towel, so I would never do that. But it
Kind of
was
like the
faster.
idea of the hot air blow drying out of the shower thing.
Have you not blow dried yourself, John?
Never. I don't even own a blow
It's the
dryer.
best. I blow dry under my boobs. I blow dry anywhere that like I often will towel off parts of my body that don't stay dry for whatever reason, like my calves. I don't know why, but like I'll dry my legs, but they still feel wet, so I just like hit them with the blow dryer. Sometimes under my arms, so I can put deodorant on faster.
So do you hold one boob up at a time, or you do
Yeah.
the arm bra and then do
No, I
both
do
at the
one
same
a
time?
If this is the hairdryer, I just do
One,
and
then the
I
other.
put it there.
Okay, there you go.
Oh my
So
god!
I can put on a bra without it like getting sticky. That's another one of those areas where you could have a towel there all day and it will still feel wet. It's just annoying. So the air, you know who taught me this trick? Scott, because he blow dries himself all the time.
He
So-
blow dries under his
And
boob.
I the first time he did it, he blow dries everything, and he doesn't have that much hair. You know, it's short. So when recently he just started doing it, and I was like, why is the hairdryer on so long? Are you straightening your hair? He goes, no, I'm blow drying everything else.
So does he hit the cold shot button on the hairdryer to get the little cold shot too?
I guess, you know what? If it's a hot day, he probably does. Well, because sometimes if you don't and it's a hot day and you've taken a shower, like, yeah, you're just going to sweat. Then you're going to have to blow dry your face. That's no good.
No. And those hand dryers in the bathroom, those studies that came out that all it's doing is blowing all those fecal particles into your lungs and your.
Oof.
Wait, are you saying that the regular blow dryer does that as well?
I would
No,
imagine.
because
Yeah.
you're not using fecal particles. You didn't just take a dump and go wash your hands and still have stuff on you.
True, but the hairdryer does live in the bathroom.
Right. So what they say is when you
Every hairdryer lives in the bathroom. You're blowing shit all over your hair every day.
well, when
don't
you
ya?
when you flush,
No.
you put the lid down.
Yeah, usually. I think so. Yeah.
Because if you don't put the lid down, what happens is the swoosh puts like a little spray of yuck,
Germs.
fecal yuck into the air, and then
Fecal
if you're-
yuck.
Fecal
That's our
yuck.
favorite kind of yuck. Fecal
saw-
yuck.
That's a good name for
I
a
was going
rock
to say I
band.
saw fecal yuck. They opened for the Who in '82.
Fecal yuck.
So
That is fun.
yeah, so that can be in the air, and then you blow dry it all over your underboobs. So
Yeah, the one thing I'm pretty sure I don't really have an underboob. That's not really an issue for me. I don't need to lift. Yeah, no.
oh look at you bragging.
I do like that John said
Mine
he's
are
never
like-
blown
Mine
himself.
are like 5 pounds.
No, not nowhere. I don't even own a hair dryer. Like
I could
For
get a
what?
breast reduction just to lose weight.
holy
Can I
cow!
can I have what you surrender? Okay.
Yeah.
You should be able to donate. Like you should be able to donate boobage to your friend.
You should be able to.
And then
I
one day-
concur. That would be a very good use of.
Right. And then one day Melissa could blow dry
My
her
extra
under boobs.
fat.
Yeah, that is not something I'm looking forward to. Time and gravity are beginning their job on me, and I'm fighting it.
Okay.
I'm running from time
You're running from time.
Mm-hmm.
and gravity.
I found a great picture of Melissa in college. What did we all think of that picture?
I thought she was, I liked it.
She's cute.
She's
right?
very cute. I mean,
With,
listen, she's like, don't
Why
send that
did you want
picture.
us to hide that picture, Melissa?
With the big glasses and the high hair and the
It was just, you were just a product of the
Yes.
80s or 90s. Actually, that was the 90s.
90s. That was in like 90s.
Right.
I got a Facebook Messenger thing because there's a reunion this year in October. Homecoming at University of Delaware is going to be.
Wait,
It's a
at
reunion
UD?
year for us. Yes. So a friend from 100 years ago starts posting all these pictures. Now, she was in a sorority, and they've got their flannels on and their high hair, and they just these are not pictures that I would put of myself on Facebook. Like I respect the 90s Melissa. She helped form, I do, where she is. I don't want her creeping into my day-to-day life. There's no place for her. But she helped craft what is here now in front of you. And thank you very much for your time served. Please stay where you are and retire. And I don't want to look at that. I don't want any part of that.
So then I sent 70s John.
Yeah.
And then 80s John. And then 90s John. So I sent pictures of spanning 3 decades of me in my, well, the first one was me in my, what was it, a tan tux for my senior prom. And I was flanked by 2 guys in powder blue tuxes.
Yeah.
I think I did, yeah.
I love a good tan tux.
And then there was 80s John. I forget which one that was. But then when I was at the radio station, it was like 90s John too. So, no, that was late. No, I'm sorry. Radio station John was late 80s, like 87, 88. Yeah.
And do you just save those pictures? You have them in a box?
They're actually on Facebook, to be quite honest with you.
Because you posted them?
Yeah. Well, no. The one that I was standing in the back in the radio station was someone else posted that and tagged me in it. And
I can't see posting pictures of myself from a time. Stuart said, you keep getting better with age. I'm like, I don't feel better with age, but thank you. And let's burn. Well, you also know when I was 16, I had a hint of plastic surgery. So I do want every picture that was taken prior to my 16th birthday to disappear in flames. So there's no proof.
I don't understand why you run from your past. And here's the thing. Like when you see, for me, when I see those pictures, it just brings me back to a time. It brings me back to that time. So I kind of love that.
I have music for that, John. That's what music is for. Music brings me back to that time. I don't need to see all of my mistakes.
What music?
Pictures, you don't show your kids. You don't show your kids your pictures of when you were that young and stuff like that?
Well, I had that one picture of my nursery school picture where I showed it to my kids and said, "Can you find me in this picture?" And they are like, "No, no, no." You look just the same. I'm like, "Really? Do I?"
No, I think you look better.
But they love those looking at that. But no, music, Jess.
I like
all
your
of these,
hair color better now.
I do too. I
didn't like that hair color as much.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything really.
I did like lipstick though. That was new. I haven't seen you wear lipstick in quite a while.
Yeah, because it's the 0 fucks that I give, and you usually see me on Skype or Zoom today. So it's really not necessary.
You need it, but I did like it.
I went out to a party. Stuart's friend threw a party on Saturday, and I went to a party with him, and I saw his friends, and I put on makeup, and I put on like half leather pants, and I left the house. And
half leather?
Yeah, the front. Nope, the back.
In the front.
Well, the back.
Chaps on? What kind of party was this?
The back until the knee, and then the front from the knee down. It was
They're not chaps. They're like leggings that are leather in the front and not leather.
Or leather,
like
or
jeans.
leather in the back. Right. They were super, and like Lycra tight, whatever. So my point is, I dressed up. I put on makeup.
You dolled up.
Put on a nice heel. And I thought, where are we going? And then we walked into a liquor store, and they're like, oh, she's one of those. I'm like, no, I swear. I realize everybody here is in a ripped T-shirt, but I'm going somewhere.
No, she is one of those.
And she used to be one of those.
I
might now, though. I might. Pop this blow stand. That's what Mallory say. We're going to pop this blow stand. And Stuart's like, blow stand? Maybe that is what she's thinking about.
No,
I think we hit everything.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like to yell at us for all the racial slurs that we discussed today, you can find us at brilliantobservations@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Listen Brilliant. And you can see our show notes and listen to our show at brilliantobservations.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. That is the Podshell and a Nutcast. Thank you to Melissa and John for showing up today and being hilarious.
Thank you guys. Bye.